The dinner reservation that exposed everything. I've been with my boyfriend, Ethan, for 3 years, and we live together. Pretty stable, pretty boring, like couple that buys matching Tupperware boring. Until last Friday. I was at work when I got a confirmation text from a fancy restaurant saying, "Your table for 2 at 7 p.m. is confirmed. We look forward to seeing you and Emily." Emily? I am not Emily. At first I thought it was spam, until I saw the last 4 digits attached to the reservation. Ethan's phone number. I called him. No answer. Texted him. Nothing. But he posted on his story an hour later saying he was working late. So I did what any sane, rational girlfriend would do. I requested the Uber he uses. And guess where it was headed? The restaurant. By 6:45, I was sitting in my car across the street like a rejected FBI agent, heart pounding, palms sweating, mascara on point because if he was going to cheat, I was at least going to look hot when I caught him. At exactly 7:02 p.m., Ethan walked up. In a button-down, holding flowers. My stomach dropped. But then a woman walked toward him. Blonde, tall, red dress. They hugged. I actually felt my soul leave my body. But that wasn't even the worst part. When Ethan handed her the flowers, she started crying. Full-on breakdown. In his arms. I snapped a photo. I needed proof. I was about to get out of my car and confront them right there when suddenly Ethan stepped back, wiped her tears, and said something that made her gasp and cover her mouth. I couldn't hear it. But she nodded, then hugged him again. My heart was screaming cheater, cheater, liar, liar. Until Ethan turned around and walked straight toward my car. I panicked. I tried to hide the phone, wipe my face, act normal, but no. He knocked on my window. I rolled it down an inch. "You're cheating on me." He looked at me like I accused him of arson and tax fraud at the same time. "Baby, no. No, you don't understand." "Then explain." He looked back at the woman in the red dress, then leaned into my window and whispered, "She's not who you think. She's my." And just as he said the word, the woman's phone started ringing loudly. She answered, face turning white, eyes wide. Oh my God. They found out. Ethan froze. And that's where everything fell apart. When Ethan told me the woman in the red dress was his wife, my mind simply shattered. It didn't break loudly. It didn't explode. It just quietly collapsed, like a building that had been waiting too long to fall. I didn't scream. I didn't cry. I didn't ask the questions normal girlfriends, normal people would ask. I just walked into the restaurant, sat down at that circular booth, and listened. Because somewhere in that moment, something clicked. This wasn't the whole truth. Not by a mile. I've always been good at reading people. It's my one real skill. And the way Ethan looked at me that night wasn't the look of a cheating man or a guilty man. It was the look of someone terrified of something bigger than love. And the way the woman, Emily, kept glancing toward the windows like she was expecting someone to burst through them. That wasn't the fear of a wife worried about a divorce. That was the fear of someone being hunted. I didn't know it yet, but the real threat wasn't Ethan. It wasn't Emily. It was someone else entirely. Someone I never would have suspected. Someone already in my life. But that part comes later. For now, I sat in that booth, staring at the envelope Emily slid across the table, pretending to listen to explanations about old families, manipulative parents, controlling brothers, and legal battles twisted into knots on purpose. She talked about her family's money, their lawyers, their threats, their power. I nodded, sipped wine, acted calm. But internally, I kept replaying the moment outside the restaurant. That phone call that made Emily go white. The words she whispered, "They found out." At first, I assumed she meant her family. But something was wrong. She never said who found out. She avoided exact names. Avoided details. Avoided specifics like she was scared the walls could hear. I didn't fully understand it then, but I would soon. I pressed my fingers against the envelope on the table, the paper cold and stiff beneath my hand. I didn't open it yet. I just let the silence stretch while I watched both of them squirm under it. And it's funny, everyone always says silence is awkward, but they're wrong. Silence is revealing. People fill silence with truths they don't mean to say. And that's exactly what happened. Because that's when I noticed it. The detail that shouldn't have been there. The detail that changed everything. Emily's purse. It wasn't a normal purse. I hadn't thought much about it at first, not when I was too busy being emotionally drop-kicked by the word wife. But now, sitting inches away, I saw it. The logo wasn't real. The stitching was wrong. The hardware was cheap-plated. The designer bag she claimed her wealthy parents bought her was a fake. A very good fake, but still fake. Why would a girl from a controlling, wealthy, old-money family be carrying a replica bag? Why would someone supposedly monitored by her rich parents be able to casually meet at a restaurant like this? With no security, no driver, no family representative at her heel. Why would a woman terrified of her parents be signing secret legal papers instead of using her family's high-priced lawyers? Why did her entire story feel like layers of smoke drifting around a fire? But I knew. Something about her was a lie. And if she lied about one thing, she could be lying about every single thing. The waitress returned, setting down plates none of us cared about, then disappeared again. The candle flame flickered between us and cast thin shadows over Emily's face, making her look even more hollowed out. I finally spoke. "Let me see the papers." My voice surprised even me, steady, almost bored. Like I wasn't seconds away from breaking down. Emily swallowed, pushing the envelope toward me a little more. "You can read them if you want. It's just a statement. Nothing complicated." But when I opened the envelope, the first thing I noticed wasn't the document. It was the smell. Not paper. Not ink. Something else. Something chemical. I didn't know what it was yet, but you never forget a scent once you recognize it later. I pulled the paper out. The top page was normal enough. Legal jargon, a statement of intent, some dates. Fine. Boring. But the second page, there was no second page. It felt like there should be. The envelope had weight to it, the way it sagged. But when I reached further inside, my fingers brushed something else. Thin. Plastic. Cold. I froze. A SIM card. A tiny one, taped between two scraps of cardboard. My heartbeat slammed into my ribs. Why would a separated wife hide a SIM card in divorce paperwork? I didn't pull it out, thank God. I just pushed the papers back inside like nothing happened. But I was no longer listening to Ethan's soft explanations or Emily's trembling apologies. I was waiting. Waiting for the real truth to slip out. And it did. Not from Emily. Not from Ethan. But from a text. A text from my own phone. I hadn't even felt it buzz. I was too lost in my own mind. But when I finally looked at the screen, a new message sat there. From my sister. My sister. It said, "Hey, are you still with them? Don't leave yet. I'm on my way." My throat dried instantly. Why would she know where I was? Why would she know who I was with? Why would she say them? Why would she be coming? I didn't tell her where I was. I didn't tell anyone. And then it hit me. That fake designer purse. The fear of being found. The SIM card. The panicked call. The way Emily kept glancing at the windows. The lie about her parents tracking her. It wasn't her parents tracking her. It was someone else. Someone who knew where we were. Someone who texted me like they were already part of the situation. Someone who had been strangely invested in my relationship for months, subtly pushing me to check Ethan's phone, feeding my suspicions, saying things like, "Don't you think he's hiding something?" over and over. Someone who never liked Ethan from the beginning. Someone who always inserted herself into my private life. My sister. I didn't know the full story yet, but something inside me cracked open. And suddenly, I could see everything clearly. My sister had always been the dramatic type. Jealous in quiet ways. Competitive in louder ones. Someone who needed to feel needed to feel in control. She loved inserting herself into my relationships. She loved being the reason I broke up with people. She loved being the center of emotional storms. But this was different. This was planned, orchestrated, engineered. My hand tightened around my phone. Emily noticed. Her eyes flicked to the screen like she was checking for something, confirmation. Not fear, confirmation. And that's when I knew Emily wasn't afraid of her parents finding out. She was afraid of my sister finding out she didn't finish her part yet. The fear wasn't of family. It was of failing the person she was working with. My blood ran cold. I spoke suddenly, cutting Ethan off mid-sentence. "What did my sister promise you?" I asked quietly. Both of them froze. Ethan looked confused, genuine confusion, not the performative kind. But Emily, her face drained of color. That was all I needed. I pushed the envelope across the table toward her. Talking would be easier if you didn't hide SIM cards in divorce paperwork. She visibly choked on her breath. Ethan looked at me, eyebrows knitting. SIM card? What SIM card? What are you talking about? I didn't let him finish. Let's simplify this, I said, turning to Emily. You're not being stalked by your parents. You're not scared of their lawyers. You're scared of someone else. And I think we both know exactly who. Emily pressed her lips together, shaking her head quickly. You don't understand? Then make me understand. Her voice cracked. She said she'd ruin me if I didn't do it. Who, but I already knew. My sister, I finished for her. Emily closed her eyes. And that was my confirmation. The story came out in pieces. Not neat. Not clean. Not linear. But enough. Emily wasn't Ethan's wife. She never was. She wasn't even connected to him at all. She met my sister first. And somehow my sister convinced her, threatened her, bribed her, manipulated her into playing the role of wife. The fake reservation, my sister booked it. The fake bag, my sister bought it. The staged hug outside, my sister coached her. The SIM card, evidence of something much bigger, something my sister wanted planted on Ethan without getting her own hands dirty. Why? Because my sister wanted me to leave him. Desperately, obsessively, violently. Still, even after hearing all this, something didn't add up. Why go that far? Why bring a stranger into it? Why orchestrate a fake marriage, fake documents, fake phone calls? Why try to ruin him so thoroughly? None of it made sense, until the restaurant door opened behind me. And her voice cut the air in half. There you are. I didn't have to turn around. I felt her. My sister slid into the booth beside me like she belonged there. Like this was her restaurant. Her table. Her script. She gave Emily a small, razor-edged smile. You were supposed to stall longer, she murmured. Emily flinched. My sister turned to me then, and her smile softened into something horrible, sweet, almost affectionate. I told you he was bad for you, she whispered. The candle between us flickered, throwing shadows across her face that made her look like a version of someone I didn't recognize. And even before she said the next words, I knew this wasn't about Ethan at all. It was about control. It was always about control. You don't need him, she continued softly. You never did. You only need me. Ethan stood up so fast the table rattled. What the hell is going on? Sit down. My sister snapped, not even looking at him. Her voice changed. Hollow, sharp, authoritative. Not a sister. Not family. Something else. Something colder. Don't make this harder, she said to me. I stared at her, my pulse roaring in my ears. And the final piece clicked. She didn't want to break us up. She wanted to isolate me. Completely. From everyone. No, I said. Just one word. Her eyes flicked up. What's no, I repeated. I'm done letting you inside my relationships. My life. My head. My phone. My boundaries. Her face twitched just once. You fooled me for years, I said quietly. Manipulated me. Controlled everyone I dated. Tried to destroy the only healthy thing I've had. Ethan stepped closer. You're safe, he murmured. I didn't feel safe. Not until I looked my sister in the eyes and finished it. You don't get to have me anymore. Her smile finally broke. Split. Twisted. Gaunt. You'll regret that, she whispered. But she was wrong. I never did. Security escorted her out within minutes. The restaurant called them after hearing raised voices. Emily left soon after, apologizing through tears, promising she was done being controlled by her too. And Ethan, he didn't leave my side the entire night. We didn't go home right away. We sat in the car under the dim glow of the street lamps, letting the silence breathe around us. Real silence, finally honest and calm. For the first time, everything felt real. The truth was ugly, but it was truth. And that's why we survived it. Because the enemy wasn't him. It wasn't her. It was the person I trusted most in the world. My own sister.